Hello, good evening. This evening we're going to talk about the classes one by one. This video is going to talk about the Anchorite class. Before we talk about the class, I want to talk about what's wrong with the monk class, which is the equivalent class in other systems, that we're trying to fix. Historically, it's been a very broken class, underpowered at higher levels, okay-ish at mid to medium levels, and a bit confused about its treatment of magic in particular and spell casting and how its powers work. I think that's improved a lot, to be frank. I mean, all of the classes are a bit better in the 2024 edition of D&D, but it's still confused. There are still issues with the scaling of martial art open hand attacks. There are still issues about the scaling of certain other powers. It's confused in that certain powers abilities use focus point system, and this goes across the board. Some use that, some use a dice resource, some don't use a resource at all. Some just rely almost completely on innate abilities or ability to always do something, like the warlock class. And it's a bit like the first edition of AD&D. It's a gathering together of house rule fixes per class rather than a unified approach uh, um, um, based on a single mechanic, which perhaps to its advantage fourth edition did, although it didn't rely on a point system. So Shatterheart does have this unified mechanic of abilities, spells, nothing else, no feats, nothing else. And abilities you always spend focus points on. Focus points is a resource. You don't have too many points of them. You use it selectively at key points in encounters to give you that turn, to give you that edge in combat or in an encounter more generally. So that's the kind of general philosophy. So we use the same philosophy across all 10 classes, and each class has a playbook in 26 pages long. There's lots and lots of choice, lots and lots of lore, lots and lots of fun, I think, because we've really gone back to the lore. What is special in the lore about the class, you don't have to fake it with role play. You role play it on top of the rules. Rules are cool rather than ruling's not rules is one of our great mantras, in that there are systems in the game to enable you to do the fun stuff, like all the wuxia abilities for the Anchorite class you see in kung fu movies from Hong Kong in the 1970s, and so on and so forth. So let's open up the class, and then we will start going through. I'll just turn it over to my screen that I'm casting from. Okay. Now each class has a quick build. A quick build enables you, makes all the choices for you, and in terms of what skills you choose, what spells you choose, etc., and what abilities you choose, even down to what's in your knapsack. So you can pick them up and go straight away. You can also pick up and go straight away the example characters we've given you from levels 1 to 4, or even take one of those and develop it at higher levels any way you see fit, change the lineage and so on. It's all very straightforward and easy to do that. About Anchorites, now there's of course a tension here between not making them too culturally specific, but based on the lore. And the lore always comes from somewhere. Like for paladins, even if they're not Christian, they always derive from Christian legend, Christian lore, Christian history. And similarly, monks or anchorites in our class, Buddhism and the concept of chakras and key energy flowing through the body, and be able to get the body to do extraordinary things like wuxia abilities, like run down a wall instead of falling, or climb up a wall, or walk across water, etc. Or even at higher levels, walk through walls by changing all the molecules in your body. That really is what sums up the class. And I don't think you can be accused of Orientalism or cultural appropriation here any more than we could say we're appropriating Christian culture with paladins. I think that's just a ridiculous accusation. So I think we felt it was easier to keep the term ki and wuxia, because everybody knows well, if they're a fan of kung fu movies and so on, people know what these things mean. Okay. Now the first level abilities that they have this ability called Kijong Senses, which is used to supplement, or in some cases replace, the perception and scouting facility. It's kind of a magical sense facility. It's a bit like feeling the force. So, for example, like in some computer games, magic items will glow in the game. In the mind of the Anchorite, if they succeed in a check, it will reveal hidden secrets. They glow, only visible to them. So that's a fun ability, really, very which you could do lots of things with. Yoga and meditation is another skill. If you in your preparations daily, if you succeed on your yoga and meditation check, you can enhance your armor class, make yourself tougher through beefing up your chakras. The main archetypal ability is the burst strike, which uses martial arts skills, either martial arts strikes or ways of turning, which is martial arts wrestling, to do additional damage. And the damage, so let's go to this table here. The damage depends on whether you're doing a hand attack or what's called a tornado kick attack, both of which do more damage, a lot more damage than a normal one-handed strike attack. And the escalation dice and additional dice as well. If you want to charge up the attack with ki, which costs a focus point and an action point to charge up, bam, to add ki to your foot or your hand, and so on. And they scale with level as well. So these really can do a lot of damage. There's also similar ability with your ways of turning skill. Like a normal grapple, you grapple once and you're in hold, unless you're a monster which has the improved grapple facility. Once you're in hold, then you can do other things such as grapple them to the ground and so on. But the way of turning skill, you can throw them to the ground and do a lot of damage that way. Ki burst is an ability where you can as I said, you can add it to your fist or your foot before you do a martial arts attack. And also these martial arts abilities, it's depending on your degree of success, can have knockback and knockdown abilities. And knocking back and knocking down are both things that can recharge ki, so you really want to try and do them where you can, and that's one of the things that are fun about the Anchorite class. They can't do area attack damage, but they can leap all around or run all around the play area, the encounter area, faster than any other class at higher levels. And if you're joining next to them in melee, bam, bam, bam. They're knocking their opponents here, there, and everywhere. So that's very hard to resist. You really need to keep a high-level Anchorite, medium-level Anchorite away from you. Otherwise, they will gain the initiative. They will be knocking you hither and thither. And one other. There's also Anchorite's guard ability, which we see here, which enables you uniquely. You can't normally parry a sword with your arm, you get it chopped off, but you can with this ability if you're an Anchorite, and also if you're unarmored, you gain a boost to your armor class. Now each class has skills that are specific to them, and also they can claim a certain set of the basic skills as class skills. If it's a class skill, then it will level up automatically as you level up at certain levels. Like it'll say all class skills go to skilled from trained, for example. I think that's at 5th level. A basic skills, you choose one or more, and then you just get 1 point every level to spend on one other basic skill, not a class skill, or a vocational skill, or a language, or a law skill. It's your choice, really. Sometimes you can learn such skills through doing as well, but we'll come on to that when we come to the skills chapter. The squish dice are the same as hit dice, so it's D8. However, you get a bonus of 5 at level 1 and 3 at level 2, and it's the maximum squish dice at level 1 and the average at level 2 upwards. Up to level 10, you add beef each time. Up to level 10, after level 10, you just add 3 per level, no beef addition. So it really tails off the squish points deliberately, so player characters always have less hit squish dice than the big monsters, because the big monsters, you're often one big monster up against the whole party. That's the reason why. So otherwise you just have terrible hit point attrition, battles taking forever, which you want to avoid. So squish points are really pushed down here. Skip over a few things, such as improved critical, which is the same for all classes, all fighting classes anyway. When you level up, really, the first place you look is the level progression table. We've just been through everything apart from weapon proficiencies. But weapon proficiencies there are peasant simple weapon, short bow, stone weapons, quarterstaff. So it's quite restricted, but you can do a lot with those. You can still fight with your burst strike ability if you've got weapons in hand, and then you can still do the special abilities, for example on the critical that bludgeoning weapons do, etc. And many abilities require you to have a weapon in hand in order to carry out the ability, such as kind of pole vault with a weapon and attack an opponent in the head and that kind of thing, or spin around like in a tornado and kick everybody around you. So you don't really have to choose. You use a weapon and you use your bare hands. I mean, perhaps the only time you have to choose is if you want to use a wrestling, a way of turning attack, where you can't do that without your hands. Although if your hands are incapacitated, you can do it with your feet if you're grappled. You can still use your feet to pull yourself out of hold, or to incapacitate the opponent and crush them with your legs and so on. Right, we won't go through every per level, but what we will do is we will just... So here you can see though, you've got a real choice about how you specialise your character. Do you focus on the protection abilities against different types of magic, or be able to focus on range weapons or empty hand weapons, or other fighting and so on. So there's a real choice here. Many of the non-magic user classes have an option of toughness. Toughness means you get a bonus to squish points, and so on and so forth. So then there are the fighting abilities. The fighting abilities, let's come on to these. The fighting abilities are different in that you again get them every other level, but they cost an action point and they cost a focus point. So they basically describe how you maneuver around the battlefield in order to try to get advantage. For example, Anchorites and outlaws have the ability to go for a backflip. Backflip means that you can disengage, backflip 2 alphas, 10 feet, in other words, and disengage without the opportunity of a rejoinder, which is an opportunity attack in the game without provoking a rejoinder. So there are lots of ones here. For example, Eagle Eye enables you to make a ranged attack at edge. There are lots of options for throwing with additional effect, using the ways of turning skill, also using particularly bow sticks, vault and spin around and attack everybody around you. Lots of fun abilities, using weapons, using your hands, and so on and so forth. I won't go through all of these. I'll just focus on a few fun ones, such as Shuriken Storm, which is boosts your shuriken attacks. There's an attack called Traversal Strike, which just bashes in the armor of an opponent. To charge up an arrow with key, and so on. And the final set, again, all classes have it, is automatic abilities as you level. And the Anchorite is lucky enough, so they gain these abilities one per level, because they have spell abilities, but it's not as strong as other classes. So they're one of the few classes that can get a boost get extra abilities every level. Now we won't go through every single one. They start at level 2, but level 2 is Wuxia 4, which means as you fall you can run down a wall and slow yourself. Wuxia Leap is kind of a super leap for an extra key point. Won't go through them all, but catch missile in midair is an ability. This has various levels, one of which is just to knock missiles out of the way. Another is to catch them so you can throw them back, and even throw them back automatically at in its highest form. There's a supreme, a much stronger self-healing ability you get at level 9, and level 12. When you do a repel roll to get out of the way of, say, a fireball, instead of taking half damage on a success, you take none. So that's a very powerful ability that only Anchorites and Outlaws have. So there's a real nice range of choice here and fun abilities, going all the way up to level 20, when you become a living legend, and you cease eating and drinking and aging. Quite, that'd be nice. I'd like to eat. Abilities. So that's about it, really. Thank you very much, and in tomorrow's video we'll be talking about the Barbarian class.